Hello. Hello, and welcome to a very, very special Geek live stream. It's our first holiday live stream, and we're so happy that you're joining us. So, there's a lot of stuff coming your way over this next hour or so. You're going to get very exciting news that you're going to love. We're going to answer your questions, we're going to share your thoughts. It's going to be great. We're going to introduce you to an amazing Geek partner. And obviously, we're going to be giving out some gifts because lots of people have been waiting for that, we know. So we're doing this live stream with you and for you. So you make sure, please, that you comment on the platform where you're watching, could be YouTube, anywhere else, and you let us know what you think, because we're going to be picking the gift winners randomly, and it's going to be from there. So the more active you are, the better your chances of winning something. And for those wondering who I am, my name's Slavio Noatu. I'm responsible for making Geeq a success on several fronts, but we'll get to that. You'll hear more about me from me and about me over the course of this hour. And with the formalities done, let's call a familiar face on stage. I'm going to be introducing Rick now, the founding CEO of Geeq. So,
hey, Slavio, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks. And I'd like to wish everybody a warm holiday greetings from snowy Waterloo. We've got a busy agenda today, so I'm going to get right to it. I have a few observations that I'd like to share, and then I have a very special announcement. So why don't we just jump right into it? Observation number one. This space, as we probably all know, whether we call it crypto, whether we call it blockchain, whether we call it Web3, DeFi, I think it's pretty evident that this entire space is at an inflection point. One where basically people are yearning for. They're saying, what technology, what team can realize the full potential that is blockchain. And my humble opinion, and I think shared pretty widely, I hope, by the entire group around that has joined us, basically from staying up late to getting up early, is that the answer to that is Geeq. And so by my count, and my math is not always the best, but by my count, we've been foundation laying with Geeq for approximately 1,948 days, something like that. Because for those who are not aware, that's when I first read about Dr. John Conley. I read an article of his, and I went, this guy's pretty bright. This guy's got a great sense of humor. So we connected that day, and I connected later with Stephanie. And since that time, we've been, again, foundation laying. We believe we built a rock solid technology, strong intellectual property. We have intense and intensifying commercial interest, and I think you'll hear about that a little bit later on in the hour as well. We have assembled, and I mean a great big we, have assembled a team that I believe I've never had the privilege of being such a part of, and I'm so excited about the team. And then we've assembled a community that I think, again, is a good testament to the fact that, folks are up early and staying late. So I believe we have an unprecedented and blossoming team as well. So I think observation number one is the world is looking for us. They're waiting for us. And they're waiting to be a geek. Observation number two is that it's been my, personal experience and my observation that the world's most successful entities, the most successful success stories, have at this very stage of its evolution a leader that exhibits three traits. And that is, first of all, they have to have a gut feel, like an intuition as to product market fit. So you have to get the technology at a deep level, but then you have to be able to reach out and understand what the customer wants. So that's number one. You have to have that trait. Number two is, on the strength of that, a soaring vision of what's possible. Like literally, can this technology, can this, what we've built and are building and will build, can it change the world? And then the third trait is that this person, no matter where you look, they've got an engine or they've got a motor, can't turn it off, no off switch. And so it's on the strength of these observations that it gives John and I a great deal of pleasure. We're elated to announce that Dr. Stephanie So is, as of right this second, appointed the next CEO of Geeq Corporation. So we're we're off the charts excited, and I believe that you will be as well. There's no person.
Rick, you just seem to be muted. Rick, make sure that you're unmuting yourself because we definitely don't want to lose what you're saying.
I bet you didn't hear any of that.
No, just the
Okay.
last 20 or 30 seconds.
Okay, so I'm going to do this very, very quickly again. Okay, here I go. Again, warm holiday greetings to everybody, geeks around the globe. We've got a very, very busy agenda, and because I've just already, torched through 5 minutes of it, I'm going to go very, very quickly. A couple of observations. First of all, that the space is at an inflection point, complete inflection point, and it's looking for basically that technology and that team that can execute and be that one. So basically, the first observation is that people are yearning for that next technology. So we've been foundation laying for about 1,956 days approximately. And first met John August 13th, 2017, and met Stephanie closely thereafter. Since then, we've been foundation laying, strong IP, strong tech, intense commercial interest team, unlike anything I've been part of. And so the world is waiting for Geeq. Second observation is that the world's most significant success stories have, at this stage, a leader with three traits. The first is a gut feel for what's for product market fit. The second is a soaring vision for what's possible. And the third is an engine that no matter how hard you look, you can't find the off switch. So it's with those observations that I'm elated, and John and I are elated to announce Stephanie, Dr. Stephanie So, as the next CEO of Geeq Corporation. So it's again with eternal gratitude that I moved to board chair. I'll still be here to guide, support, turn on my mic regularly, and connect and support. So today's a graduation day, celebration day. It's a very good day to be a geek. So again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna enjoy my tea. I'm gonna get out of the way. But again, I'm excited about what we're doing. So it's a great day to be a geek. Thanks a lot.
Hi, Rick, and hi, everyone. And I could not be more grateful for that introduction and to work with you since 1,000 and X number of days, just shy of when you and John got together. I have a few words to say about Rick and Rick's leadership because it's been extraordinary. What Rick did in the early 2010s was to realize that everyone and everything was going to be connected someday. And that included so much data and so many transactions that he began searching for a secure way for us to transact with each other. And Rick likes to say work and play and live. And I think that's the vision that he started. He realized that he had to start preparing for the future then. He reached out to John. They hatched this plan. And all the while, Rick was thinking that this thing that became Geeq had to be born global. And I can't tell you how many hours, days Rick has worked to think about all the legal complications of Geeq being in different jurisdictions, of making people safe when they participate with Geeq. And the community and the team have benefited so greatly from that vision and the work. And the other thing I'd love to say about Rick is that he has this corporate background where he's steered innovation from the beginning to market. And it was the scope of Rick's vision of taking on the challenge to blend the corporate background of software and technology with this up and coming world of community and Web3. And he never shied away from that. So we have a great deal to thank Rick for. He's put a lot on our plates, and very glad that you're staying, Rick. As chairman of the board, we need you, and you have big shoes to fill.
Well, as I say, it's a privilege and a pleasure. And as I watch how everybody has blossomed and grown, and the expanse of what's possible, and how when you're a guy like me, flawed with technology, with my mic and my camera and stuff, that this is the spot that you dream for, that the entity is able to graduate and grow into what we all believe it can be. Because again, and I wasn't going to talk about the incumbents, but it's my belief that when we look at what the world needs with blockchain, and what we can deliver, what we've worked so hard, what you, Stephanie, John, Lun, I don't want to name names because, as I say, there's so many.
Long list.
It's a long list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the great privilege of, being able to, poke, prod, guide, support, but mostly imagine, what can be possible. So this ride to my mind is we've only just begun.
I think we've been working hard, but yes, let's begin. Thanks, Rick.
Guys. Take care. Thank you. I'm here. Take care.
Thanks. What I'd like to do is move on, actually, while I try to process that later. I'd like to introduce a partner of Geeq, and a tremendous all-around human being. This is the CEO of Robot, Matt Linton, and we'd like to talk a little bit about the future of technology, and big data and blockchain and whatever we decide to talk about. Matt, welcome.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Is it okay if we don't move on for 1 second, please? Because congratulations are definitely in order. Geeq as an organization, which we can talk about a little bit further, is a very special group in my experience. And but Rick, exceptional capabilities, track record of, he's been involved in every part of Waterloo technology before anybody knew what Waterloo was, and a really exceptional visionary. But I have to say, and I'm saying this to you, Stephanie, but I'm also saying it to anyone who's listening, I'm fortunate enough to interact with some very special technology people. And you'll have an understanding of that about Robot in a second when we move past this. But from the first time that we spoke, Stephanie, yourself and John as well, I felt like we had, there was a spark. There was some magic to our conversations, but also to frankly, your mind. You get into every sentence that you're listening to and process and then feedback. And that is only going to take Geeq to the next level. So Stephanie, congratulations. Congratulations, Rick, as well, because the oversight role and the ability to help nudge and guide from the board chair is definitely the right spot for him. And I mean, this is very fortunate for me. Being a Geeq partner is watching your organization just keep getting better. So congratulations, and thank you for allowing us to be involved in your journey.
Thank you, Matt. I couldn't have asked for a better person to share this with today, and all the way going forward. And thank you. Those are very kind words, and I appreciate it. The team is ready to go. So let's talk a little bit about work, because I don't want to get too distracted. But thank you. So Matt, I promised in the announcements for today that no blockchain knowledge was required, because we had you to talk about some of the challenges that the society is facing today. I think one of the reasons we bond is that we see that the current systems for data and communications are under stress. And I know you and the robot team have some unique tools to and perspective to think about that. So would you share a little bit about what you've seen, what you've heard, and how you're thinking about solving that?
Absolutely. And I hope that we have the unique approaches that we think that we do. But it's the exciting part is getting into the market and proving that, which is the stage that we're at in Robot. So Robot acts on complex systems that over time have evolved and have reached their maximum capacity. So Robot's main focus, and where we've had our technologies have had the most success in the past, is going into banks, large global banks that have existed for 40, 50 years, but have been in operation since the beginning of or emergence of technology. And so they have a patchwork quilt of different data storage and management systems that have not been purchased in an organized way, have sort of been bolted onto each other on a needs base, or on a needs basis, I guess. That has been sufficient for many years, and it has taken the world from where we were with punch cards and in-person conversations to where we are now, which is at, just as Rick said, we are at the limit of the typical database structures, and their flexibility is, or their inflexibility is becoming a particularly existential issue. So what Robot exists to do is to democratize the tool set to be able to amalgamate very quickly with no code, maximum automation, multiple systems together so that the information is usable. And our goal is we're aimed at business value rather than talking about technology. So I have a hard time condensing what Robot is into a single bite-sized digestible clip. But the general approach that we have is, how do we move from the past into the future? And how do we do it quickly? And how do we do it in increasingly austere times where there are fewer hands to patch or to map and solve on the fly, because there's too much to do And the tools that exist right now that we see are either stuck in the past or are already in the future. But we'd like to bridge that gap very, very quickly and put tools in the hand of the business users on the front lines that have currently or that currently exist only in IT departments. So what does that mean for the future? Well, the way that I see the future is new structures are emerging that have inherent flexibility that is required. So a very simple example of that is what do you do in rigid database structures when mobile phones are invented? Where do you put that information for your client? Well, you add a column here, you add a column there, but if you've got 100 systems that you can't act on all at the same time, you're going to have errors in doing that by hand. And then, so mobile phones, then email addresses, then social media links, then the reactions to that have been insufficient for the future. They've been sufficient for continuing operations. That's beginning to break. And that brings us to Geeq and blockchain. So also, if I can pause for a second, I've been a nerd and I've been a jock, but I've never been a geek until now. And I've also never been proud of either of those, but I'm very proud to be, and this is an announcement that's made here, but I was officially announced and included as a geek some time ago, and very proud of that since. I apologize for rambling. Perhaps there are some pieces of what I've said that you can dig into or perhaps prompt me to give more information on. But where I see it is the past is reaching its breaking point, got us to where we are. But the future is new structures. And one of the new structures that Robot relies on with one of our other technology partners, a fantastic company out of the UK called Vatical, their strongly typed database allows for hyperrelations within data and also inference, because data exists as it is rather than as defined by the column headings or the row, the name on the row.
Right, because I used to work with big hospital data sets, and what you would find in the cell might be very meaningful, but difficult to find. So when you had 7 diagnosis categories, and I looked for a single diagnosis, I had to look through all those categories, and it's difficult to work with those data sets. And by the way, I'm very informal. If anybody hasn't figured that out by now, this is a perfect kind of chat for me. So let's dig back. You were talking about how you've seen the stress issues in banks. I had a new advisor whose name is John in New York City. I hope he's watching. Tell me that banks and financial institutions don't want to touch systems because as long as they're working, they're okay. And I think that that's partly because there haven't been good options before. So
yeah, I agree with that, and that leads into there hasn't been a lack of effort to try and solve these things, which is take data from legacy systems that many of them are COBOL based. Looking under the hood of some of these large organizations, because of what you just said, which is we don't know who built that. Nobody here knows, is confident enough to dig in and start making changes. So the rule is do not touch it. Mm-hmm. If it's working, even if it isn't going to work tomorrow, we'll deal with that tomorrow. It's not working, or it's working now, so stop talking about it. Yeah. And the efforts have been increasingly centralized, which is the concept of data lakes. It was generally, okay, how do we make sense of all this information? We've got this is something that I say to Stephanie all the time, but these large organizations have, in many ways, for a very good reason, chased the shiny objects of AI and ML analytics that had massive promises, but they forgot to clean the basement, which is where all the information is. And so nobody opens the doors, nobody goes downstairs because it just it's too big of a problem. And when they do, the solution is take it all and dump it into a single place, and then we'll sort it out. But the experience of that over at least the last 10 years has been, it doesn't solve the problem, it just transforms it. So you had a messy basement. Well, now you've got an equally messy data lake. And somebody has to go through and sort all of those things out. Somebody has to go through and figure out what goes with what. Is this a first name? Is this a last name? Is this are these all of these things linked to this individual or this individual? Right. And those seem like simple problems, but with 40 years of data amalgamate or collection in large insurance companies and banks, it is a massive problem that just keeps getting more painful, frankly, as it starts to break.
Well, I'd like to point out for anybody who's joining us that one of the things that I find really special about Matt and his team and Robot that we share at Geeq is that it's data is everywhere, but what matters is how can I answer my question, right? And you're saying exactly that. You're saying, what I want to know is this the first and last name of someone that I can use in a new way? Where is the history? And I think Robot's got a lot to share about that. But we're going to have you back in the new year. You're going to be you've already promised to come back to these, right?
I did. I wish I could have said, well, I don't know. It'll be based on how my internal people tell me if I've done a reasonable job or not. So, but yes, when I can't wait to keep talking to you guys. This is something that I'm so fortunate to get to have access to so much of Stephanie and John and Rick and your team's time, because this is how we talk. We talk about the large problems, and then we start to narrow down into, well, how can we work together to solve them? And so that it's been said, the Geeq, particularly the Geeq protocol and the public-private relationship, as well as the atomic swap capabilities that make smart contracts less important. Because smart contracts to us, when we're thinking about from the robot perspective, how do we integrate, how do we really embrace the future? Smart contracts, I have to admit, I have a very surface level understanding of, but they create more complexities for us. And so we're aimed at simplify and democratize both access to data as well as user interface. Like the robot user interface is no code for a reason, because the people that have the business knowledge, that are on the front lines, that are doing the business, that know what the data means, they don't have the sophisticated data coding and programming skills required to dig these things out one at a time. So we created an interface that if you can use a website, if you know how to use a mouse, you can click boxes and go on to the next screen, and you know your information, you know your data, you know your systems. You can do it all yourself. But that's a beginning. Where do we take that to? And what we would like to do is, in our relationship with Geeq, is move things very naturally and organically into a structure where a Geeq protocol becomes the enterprise backbone for large banks and organizations. That it solves so many problems of moving information from one place to another, permissioning between departments, and then being able to seamlessly move the information that you've collected in private chains onto public chains for regulators, for maximum transparency. That is the future. And I'm fortunate. I'm sorry that I'm rambling a bit, but I'm extra fortunate for this because there's so much attention paid to blockchain's capabilities with respect to cryptocurrencies, and that's a painful thing right now. I don't have to say why, but that's not all blockchain is, and that certainly isn't all the Geeq is.
Right.
And that makes me so excited because I think I can see something that is in a direction that many people are not facing or paying attention to. And so that means that we get to show the world how to do this.
I'm so excited about it too, Matt. I love that you get to share what you see in real world terms, what you hear from people who have that data need and expertise, but don't have the time to do the coding themselves. And you and Robot are amazing. You have amazing technology. I can't wait for people to learn more about that. And thank you for doing a lot of our job for us, because we fit right in with you. I think it's going to be very exciting. So I we'll definitely have to keep talking on other occasions, but Slavian, who you all met at the beginning of this stream, has organized us very well to have different portions of the program. So Matt, if you would stay with me, I'd like to bring John on for some questions and answers from the community. And John is a founder of Geeq and the inventor, really, of the Geeq protocol. Want to say hi?
Yep. So, thanks for having me. Matt, good to see you again. The ideas that you sort of put forth about how to deal with these data questions and using blockchain as one of the data backends is really exciting. Looking forward to getting to it.
That's great. Well, I keep saying I'm a broken record. I get to talk to the two of you all the time, and a very special intellect in very interestingly different ways, which is a lot of fun for me. So to anyone watching, try and track down as much as you can find that John and Stephanie have put out there, because there's something special in each of it.
Well, this is the holidays, so we can engage in a little bit of a love fest. Matt's got a really broadly expert team in various parts of the data world and technology world, and in applications. And then Matt himself, he told me that you were in part a philosophy major. So speaking of special minds, John used to, when we met in the very beginning of our relationship, John would brag about how he took philosophy at University of Chicago, and I would have to admit that I couldn't handle that. I was more the social science side. So just so people know a little bit about the kinds of people who are attracted to technology. They do not all have to be coders and developers, but it takes all kinds. We need everybody.
Brag?
Huh?
Did I brag, actually?
You might have been very proud about Chicago at the time.
I was
Yeah.
excited about the ideas.
Yes, ideas. I think that we have to stay on theme for this this particular live stream, we have some questions about big data that have been percolating around the Geeq community. Here, shall I read it? I guess I'm emceeing. Can you please comment on the scalability of Geeq's blockchain for highly complex, computation-intensive tasks, such as machine learning AI processes, which are not even close to feasible elsewhere? That's a Geeq question for you.
Okay. So one of the things I think that we share with Robot is this idea that we stay in our lane. We compartmentalize. The data is the data. It is what it is. The way it's collected is what it is. The way that it's used is changing every minute. So trying to anticipate or keep up somehow with that is, kind of a mistake. It's like, having to paint your appliances every 2 weeks to keep up with whatever the current fashion is. So instead, we're trying to build a back end that can support these things. And in particular, so we do scale, and we believe that we can do something on the scale of 1,000 transactions a second, which is an astonishing number, really. Visa, MasterCard, this is an example, on a typical day does something like 30,000 a second, and around Christmas up to 100. But it's within an order of magnitude or so of that enormous system. 1,000 transactions is a huge number. We don't really attempt to do the computation, because the computation that's Matt's job or somebody else's job. What we want to do is make credible data available in a trustless way. And so being able to log the existence of various observations and have the provenance, have them ingestible, either from a public source or from a permission source. That's where I think that we fit in. Sort of just to go in a slightly different direction. There are some blockchains that are basing part of their protocols on things like reputation of nodes. Those reputations are induced through some kind of AI, past behavior and so forth. Problem with anything like that, and this includes systems that are not on blockchain, systems that purport to tell you if you're, what you like on Netflix and so forth. The problem is there's absolutely no transparency there. They give you an answer. They say, all right, this is a trustworthy node, but how would I know that? Not only do I not really know their algorithm, and if I did, I don't know if I actually believe it's the right one, but I don't know their data. I don't know how they trained their system. And so in the end, it's just a trust layer. It's trust this guy because he's got a good reputation, but trust me to tell you that, because there's no real way to verify it. However, if you have a system that can scale like ours, you can put those observations in the blockchain so that they can be rerun. And there's no way you can back off from exactly what your inputs were. So if we're going to allow artificial intelligence systems control our destiny, which it appears we are, knowing the data with which they are trained and being able to rerun those in a way that doesn't require me to trust what Google tells me about the world, that I think is very empowering. That's the kind of thing that we want to do at Geeq. And
Matt?
Yes.
Well,
we just have the data side. We don't do any analysis. We're stupid.
No, well, that's the funniest thing that's been said today. But I agree with you completely, and this is where we fit together. The robot platform includes very sophisticated machine learning algorithms and tools, as well as through a relationship with a very friendly Waterloo company, PolyML, who focuses on incredibly sophisticated machine learning, as well as taking machine learning beyond building models and doing things like feature analysis. So analyzing models to be able to, for that exact reason that you said, is to ensure fairness, elimination of bias. And it's those aspects that can be put in an immutable way onto the blockchain for either regulators, because governments are getting very involved in this, as they should. But there's going to become a process in any emerging technologies. The regulators are behind the technology, but the regulations are coming for reporting requirements on your models, on AI, on your training data sets. And so while Robot makes it very easy and very fast to create the really high quality data sets to feed into these incredibly powerful analytics engines, then what? And right. That's where we see being able to, well, and this is a term that we've used internally, but to be able to geek it. So at the end of the process, when you've got your report, when you've got your response for anything, press a button and it goes to a place where you've agreed, a blockchain place where you've agreed with regulators that is where you put your reports.
Right. Ethical companies should want to show their work. You know, if you're doing the right thing, especially if it affects people's lives, you should be willing to tell us and to be transparent. But without something like blockchain, you really can't be. You know, you can show me your data, but I don't know if you've changed it. I don't know what your data really was the time you ran the thing. So, yeah, we ethical companies should want this, and hopefully, wise regulators will also compel other companies to do the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that the idea of transparency in blockchain has been talked about in a very shallow way, in a way that scares people rather than seeing that there are ways to ensure that the data that has been used are correct and you can trace back to them. So you can trust Matt's products, his customers can trust them, and not because there's a trust layer, but because they connect back to a blockchain layer. And not everyone has to see that, but the fact that it exists and the fact that we do it well together is going to be something that I think will become a competitive advantage, honestly, for a lot of companies. So,
may I add one more thing?
Yeah.
The fact that, and something that you said, Stephanie, which is blockchain has been talked a lot about. I see a future where blockchain is never talked about because it's just architecture. And so it's being talked about right now because there's some uncertainty about where things are headed. But I see it as being, I mean, when you talk about a car, you talk about what color it is, how fast it is, what you like about it. But the transmission is less interesting unless you are a mechanic. And so I think that that's where we're headed.
I know John agrees with that, right, John?
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up, just for the people who do know blockchain in the audience, that when John says a Geeq chain can do 1,000 transactions per second, what people may not know is that Geeq is a multi-chain platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by virtue of its architecture, any enterprise can have multiple chains going at the same time. So it's 1,000 transactions per second per chain times however many chains you have. Just
and permissioning
because
can be public too. You can have one chain that has data that has to be protected and seen only by regulators, and other chains that are public because you want the public to see that you're doing the right thing and everything.
Right. Staying in our lane doesn't mean that we can't do things in an interesting and flexible and useful way. So that's exciting. Oh dear. We're okay. So we spent a long time on that question. Is there a short question we could answer, perhaps? Oh,
So
Well,
maybe I can speak.
okay.
Okay, so the question is, how has how have our patents affected what protocol adopters will what the approach will be? I guess both for us and for partners. So the patents were the end of the process. The intellectual property or the ideas there, the technology was what altered, of course, our pathways. I think the biggest change that's happened, we started off with proof of honesty, and that's most of what the original patent is. But we kind of evolved into this idea that we are able to do what we believe are the most important things that actual people in the real world will find useful without the use of smart contracts. The second patent incorporates those notions about how to generate the transaction types and the record structures and the transaction logic that allows you to marry the data systems that we offer with the applications that are actually useful to go beyond simply just transacting a currency. And so that certainly has affected us. And that is really the foundation of the connections to the robot and other people like that.
And I think there's been, just to add, some new attention that's been paid to Geeq, even because we've had the first patent allowance in the US. And it's a confidence booster. Even though we knew the technology was good, it's a signal to other people. So I think it has increased the way that people see our solutions, increased the confidence in which people see our solutions working. Okay, I think I'm going to ask for a little bit of time by myself, if you don't mind, because that's the next thing on the agenda. And thank you both. Thank you both. And
Pleasure.
Look forward to talking to
See you,
you
Matt.
again.
Oh, thank you very much, John and Stephanie. And congratulations again, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What a great day. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Happy holidays.
Okay.
Happy holidays, everyone.
All right. I could listen to them all day. I have a new role, however, which is to start making some announcements on my own. One of the biggest decisions that we've made lately has been to think about our first product as combining two of the functions that Geeq blockchain can do, again, without smart contracts. And that is a 2-in-1 product of combining NFTs and the notary, the data attestation service. And so here's what I'd like to say about that. NFTs are widely discussed. They are a record that is associated with ownership of a file, essentially, a file that is preserved in this new data structure. So we've seen collectibles for NFTs, and they are ownership of files of images, essentially. And there's a mixed reaction about that. Some people see beyond the images, and I think those are the strongest proponents for continuing work on NFTs. And what I've always worried about is that we may be thinking about putting digital assets, including images, including materials that might lead naturally to copyrights, to royalties. People have even thought about putting high value digital assets on chain, like property, actual physical property, stocks, and so on. But unless you have some kind of legal way of enforcing that these claims for ownership represent real property rights in the world, there's very little place for them to go. So we need things to work together. We need the digital world to work with the legal world. And this 2-in-1 approach that Geeq is going to work with Robot to deliver to enterprises has 2 stages. It, first of all, records the ownership of some digital asset on a blockchain, which hasn't been done before. That's in without smart contracts, and that's the NFT part of the Geeq technology. And then immediately you send the documentation, the actual contracts that are associated with the ownership or the change in ownership. So in one package, you have the representation, which is very easy to find on chain to identify who has had it, who has sold it, where it went, the provenances, people often say, with the accompanying legal documents to back that up. And we're really excited about bringing that first to enterprises who have thought about NFTs, but need a little bit of help, I think, in having the structure to put them in practice. And the second announcement that I have is that I'd like to introduce Slavian back to you. Slavian, would you please come back? And Slavian has been working at Geeq almost from the beginning. For those of you who have read Geeq's white paper, that very simple diagram that encapsulates everything that goes on at Geeq, it has layers upon layers of meaning, was devised by Slavian. So he has understood Geeq's protocol and its possibilities for years. And I've been lucky enough to work with him in the past year very closely as we develop applications. Slavian is always telling and reminding us that it's got to be user first, user friendly, that even though the blockchain thinks about data categorized in a certain way, users want it presented a different way. And so I'm grateful beyond words that Slavian is with Geeq. He also knows a tremendous amount about the NFT space, how it is now and how it can be in the future. And for all those reasons and many more, I'm happy to announce that Slavian is now the Chief Development Officer of Geeq. And I couldn't be more pleased because I'll get to work with you and I'll get to share you across departments as you take on more roles in development, in helping me with this product market fit, in marketing, in community building, and in fintech, which is part of your background as well. So thank you, Slavian.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And thank you, dear geeks, each and every single one of you. I'm here because I believe just as much as every single one of you in Geeq. I'm here because I think I can make a difference, because among these people that you're seeing on screen and some that are still off screen, we can move mountains. We just have that thing where I feel like it's meant to be. Geeq is meant to conquer the world. So a little bit about myself. I started out in software engineering at a big German bank. So very early on, I was closely tied to finance. Money moved the world, and that was the same thing in my career as well. But I've always been connected to finance in some way. But at some point, I was hit with the realization that Matt was entirely right. What we're seeing today, the things we're doing, the systems we interact with, it's a lot of patchwork. It's a lot of patchwork quilts, and it's a lot of if it's not broken, don't fix it. But that's not the way a network financial network of all things should work. It doesn't help us when there are so many people that are excluded from the system, whether through prejudice, whether through absent-mindedness, really, ignorance, that they're not good enough, that they're not rich enough, that they're not, in some people's eyes, capable enough. That's not an interconnected world. That's not a globalized world, and that's not a conscious world. So I was very quickly hit with the realization that that was not a future I wanted to be part of. I didn't want to stay in a basement and code all day. So I gradually moved off from software engineering for finance, tried my hand at application management for another even bigger bank where things were even more slow. And it was like a big ship, like a galleon that you just couldn't steer the way you had to steer it. And most of the problems were regulation focused as opposed to the user, to the consumer. So the regulation and the processes always came first. What are we going to do because of this process? What are we going to do because of this regulation? And the client, the user, was an afterthought. And I just could not tolerate that. So anybody that knows me knows that I cannot tolerate when you create a product, you are meant to bring value to people, and you just kind of kick it later for later for some sort of position. The client's in a position where you don't really listen to them. You just listen to your bubble that you've got going on there. And that did not make sense for me. So around that time, I found crypto. It was an absolute godsend in my life because I had the possibility to build, but to imagine as well. So I started losing a lot of money. If you remember the 2017 bull run, I lost all my life savings running after stuff that sounded very, very good, but were just white papers. So I invested in Yoda at the top. There was Nebula Protocol, Blue Zell, some of the dinosaurs together here with me. You're going to know those names. And they sounded good. They sounded like they were world beaters. But the problem is, I think some of them really just were there for selling the idea. And I did not want to believe that I had just been scammed, my money had been taken away, and that there was no way to achieve these visions that they laid out. And shortly after that, of course, I found Geeq. And for me, it was the absolute proof that I needed. No, we're not alone. I am not alone. And there's people that is good people, hardworking people that are doing what they're promising to do. And I want to be part of that. So I've always said that Geeq is like Play-Doh. Lots of people from the team are going to roll their eyes now because I keep saying that. And I say it's Play-Doh because you can create almost anything with Geeq. And it's just so well thought out. It's prepared for the big picture. It's prepared for the long term. And it doesn't sacrifice anything it shouldn't sacrifice. And every week, I'm very happy to say that we talk to interested parties in Geeq, and they tell us what they need. And almost every time we come out smiling from those meetings because we know that Geeq can help them, and we realize that they realize that as well. So until today, we haven't exactly found a single use case where we can say, no, that's just too complicated. That's just too much. That's just too hard. That's the power of this protocol. In terms of choice, we are spoiled for choice, unlike any other thing you're going to see here. We're taking the power to choose freely because that's what a well-built protocol gives you. And we're taking that power and we're making the best decisions based on commercial demand, but also our values. And we're extremely excited that that's even a possibility. Whereas for so many other projects and protocols, it just isn't. So Geeq is like Play-Doh, but it's also like bamboo for me. Because for those that don't know, bamboo or some variants or some species, they don't waste effort trying to shoot out of the ground immediately. Instead, they focus on growing roots. Okay, so when they do come out with a vengeance. And this is how I see Geeq's trajectory. For years, I had the pleasure to see the beautiful mindset, the beautiful ideas that Stephanie and Lun and John and so many others have compiled, have perfected, have refined. And I feel and I see that. I don't just feel it, but I feel like it's almost time to shoot up. And that takes me to another important concept. So it's community. Community is very important, and we don't want to shoot up without you. We can't. It's just not in our being to leave people behind. We create a very, very, very interesting band of believers, and we love each and every one of you. So my feeling is that you need to be rewarded for that. You need to be rewarded for the questions you pose. You need to be rewarded for the curiosity, for your nature of believing in us. So I think we're going to be much, much closer to you. I think we're going to help you feel more reassured and involved with us. And there's a lot of initiatives that are going to start on that front. I don't want to spoil them. You're going to hear it from them, from the people in marketing, from our lovely community members in due time. But I just want to leave you with that notion that we're going to make you feel a lot more reassured, and you're going to be feeling a lot more involved. And thank you, Stephanie, for letting me be part of all of this.
We're lucky. We're lucky. And I think you're the best spokesperson for Geeq there could be. But we're going to keep you internally a lot, because you also have this ability to focus on delivering the goods. We have to deliver the goods, and they have to be accessible to everyone. So I think the other thing that you speak about passionately is the community. And I cannot thank the community that we have in Telegram enough. They are something that's very rare among blockchain communities. They come in with questions, they come in with challenges, they come in with constructive suggestions. When can you do this? You know, have you thought about doing this other thing in the future? That's where we got the big data question from today. So yes, we absolutely want to be showing our gratitude more, because we're starting to emerge, we're starting to shoot up, and it's time to get you involved. So Slavian, again, do you have anything else to say?
Yes, I do. I hope it's not too early, but I am itching to start distributing some gifts, because it's the holiday season after all, and I want people to remember me well. So yeah, if you're ready, I'm ready, and let's start giving them out.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a giveaway tool just to make sure that everything's randomized. We don't want to be unfair, especially at a time like this in the year. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen, and you're gonna be able to see who's gonna win what. So just a bit of clarification beforehand. We've got three, you can think of them as packages, where you've got the bronze package, the silver package, and the golden package. And we're going to be distributing these packages to a random user based on your activity, based on the questions, the excitement, the hooray you gave us in the comment section. And this will be all automatized, and we will make sure that no single person can win twice, so that everybody can be, or at least 3 people can be very, very happy after this live stream. So let me go ahead and share this screen. So you can see here, I've got the giveaway tool open. I'm going to choose our broadcast, and I'm not going to match text. So everything you've done, everything you've written, it's going to be counted. There's no use in spamming, because this tool just removes the spam. Don't be trying to be smarty pants there, but you don't need to. Let's see who's going to win the very first package, which is the bronze package. And the bronze package is a code that you're going to be able to redeem for Geeq merchandise, and the value of that is $50. So you can get yourself some pretty nice stuff still with $50. Don't wait around too much, because there's that inflation thingy. You're going to be able to do a lot. So we can see here it says 21 entries, and let's click draw now and see who's going to win the bronze package. So it's going.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
Oh, this.
Ah,
Yippee! You are now, I hope you're very, very happy.
congratulations and thank
Congratulations.
you.
So you're the winner of the bronze package. Let's go again and let's see who's going to win
Oh, this is fun.
the silver package.
What is the silver package, Slavian?
The silver package. Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
No, that is
no.
not possible. The silver package is $75 worth of merchandise. So just a bit more. But we're going to have to draw again. Hippie.
For the bronze package. We're going to have to draw again for the bronze package because you always get what's best, right?
Well, that sounds like a very good idea. So let's draw again for the bronze package.
Okay. Happy silver
Hippie, you've
package.
just been upgraded. I hope you're having the time of your life. Kurt,
Oh, good.
Kurt, you're now the proud owner of that previous bronze package. $50 in your pocket for Geeq merchandise. So Hippie, you're on silver now. Kurt, you're on bronze. Let's see who's the biggest winner today.
Okay.
So let's draw again. Henry, that's $100 in your pocket.
You can trust. You can really geek out. You can get all kinds of things. Wonderful.
Okay, so that's our lucky draw there. Don't worry if you didn't get. Well, I wouldn't say anything because you got some very exciting news. But if it's something cozy you're looking for, keep an eye out. Participate more. We're going to be hopefully making a lot more of these, doing a lot more of these live streams, and you will have the chance, definitely, to win something.
Yes,
So,
and thank you for participating. Okay, so to close out today, we'd like to recognize, the entire Geeq team would like to recognize two very special community members who are active, who are very knowledgeable about the technology at Geeq, so much so that they help answer questions when our fabulous community manager, Bill, is busy or watching them. And these two community members are getting not only our gratitude, but also a larger package of gifts that we hope will pass customs reasonably quickly. They are HiptoCat and Petrobor. And there have been days, because the time developing is up and down, it's back and forth, it's sideways, and sometimes I'll come into chat and these community members will be steering out the group in a wonderfully warm, welcoming way, and that's the Geeq way. So I don't know if you're listening. I think someone is working late tonight, and but everyone who is in Telegram chat will know who I mean. Thank you again, HiptoCat. Thank you again, Petrobor. And we hope that there will be more of you. Just look at them, and again, Bill, 2001, for knowing how to behave. We have this incredibly congenial group. So that's it, I think. Is that it, Flavian? We're a little over time, but
just a little, but I think it was worth the wait.
So thanks, everyone. We'll do this again. Please let us know if you liked what you heard, if you have suggestions for new topics. We'll certainly have Matt back again. We'll have other people from others, partners. It's a great experience for you to hear something of the talks that we have when we're not in the public eye. So happy holidays to everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. I have a heritage where I get to celebrate New Year's twice, both for the calendar New Year and the lunar New Year. So all our best wishes to everyone. And thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.